to get highly educated, right, or educated in general, you don't need money. So my example is a living, breathing example. College almost free, and engineering was free, masters free, PhD free. So if anybody could take anything from right now, should take that. But supply chain was more than that. You need to understand theory. You need to understand sourcing. You need to understand demand planning. You need to understand materials management. You need to understand inventory management. You need to understand warehouse management. You need to understand the last mile. I can go on, right? You can make a fantastic product, but if you don't know how to find supply customers and how to monetize, you're gonna fail. Understand industry problem, find solution. Industry problem, find solution. Industry problem, find solution. I don't know how to monetize this step, right? But I know if I continue to do that, I will figure it out. You learn in the industry. Do not overcomplicate. I know you know a lot. Make it simple enough and stupid enough that more people understand. The more I try, the luckier I get. It all happened. It would have not happened if I would not showing my expertise on social media. So if you're really solving a problem, which is an industry problem, and which people are willing to pay, it doesn't really matter you are working full-time or you're full-time entrepreneur. It doesn't really matter because you're essentially selling a solution to somebody looking for. So that is the biggest litmus test of entrepreneurship, a product market fit. Do your financial planning. Don't stress out. So you have to assume in the first 12 months you're going to make zero money. You have to assume that.
All right, so it's a great pleasure for me to invite my friend's friend Mudassir. We actually crossed paths through our common friend, and then I learned about his story in terms of his entrepreneurship. You know how he started his career from corporate, and then he actually transitioned from the corporate career into a self learning entrepreneur or solopreneur. So we would like to learn from his story, and then this video is going to be an encouraging story for all of us who are stuck in 9 to 5 job. And I think what we should learn from him is there is a lot to happen outside your corporate career. So don't just settle on your 9 to 5 job. Look around. There's so many opportunities out there, and we just need to learn from these people to actually implement these things in our life. So with that said, thanks for joining. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic, Yasin. Thank you for having me. I think you're doing a great job encouraging people to start the entrepreneurship or solopreneurship journey. I think that's very encouraging. And yeah, let's talk about more on it.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So with that said, I know you're a very busy person, and our time zone is different as well, so it was difficult to catch up. So let's just start, from your initial days of career, right? So I know that we came through the same university back in Pakistan, but then you left Pakistan into Europe for your postgraduate and PhD afterwards. So tell us about your education journey, after graduating from Pakistan, and how did it all started, and then what was your target in terms of achievement.
No, that's great. I think most people like me, I think, come from a very lower middle class background, right? So I remember I think my parents sent me to a private school, which was, Seven Oaks or Chini Oaks. It was a, middle grade private school. And my dad after said, mate, I've got no money and now you up to you. You work or you study. So I was fortunate enough to go to Delhi College with the fees were like 250 rupees, which is nothing right now. You can't even buy a burger for that money,
Yeah.
right? So we did that. I have some good friends. NED is the university we graduated is all about friendship, right? And it's a probably I would say is the engine for the bright minds for feeding into Western world, unfortunately. So, but that's the reality. We talk about that later. So I was in the top 300. I did from Delhi College. It was in top 300 of the city. I took a textile because textile was the new actually function or department because it generally you are electrical guy. There was computer, civil, mechanical. So we just said let's be in the first batch, and it was a good decision and bad decision. Good decision because we have been treated very nicely. We have great amount of funds. I made friends for lifetime. All my best mates are from my small batch of 26. And an interesting fact about that batch is we were only 26 people and 7 of them are PhD. So if you see the ratio of how clever people in that comes out, I don't think anybody can beat that ratio. But when we come out the industry, if within the 6 months, I realized that industry was not welcoming the education people. And then most of us has decided to go abroad. I applied IBA. I think I got an admission at IBA, but I couldn't do full time because I had to have a job. So the next best thing was I got a full-time scholarship to Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden, right? I think there was a friend of a friend of a friend who said, come on, free masters. So I took 1 lakh rupee, loan from my aunt, 70,000 rupees gone to the ticket. And then I remember the journey through the, Switzerland airport, and 30,000 was my first month rent. I literally have no fund, but the good thing, a degree was free. So NAD, if I don't know, in our days, if you remember, it was annual. It was on the semester system, right? It was
That's
the
right.
annual fees. And I remember the first year was, I think, 2,500 rupees, and then after that, almost I got a scholarship. It was free. So the right, so college almost free, engineering almost free, got a master's for free. And so I have to deliver a newspaper in the morning. I used to get up like 4:30 in cold, dark Gothenburg. We used to deliver newspaper and then go to the class. And then in summer, we got a summer, I think I work in Subway, some restaurants, clean toilets, wash dishes, everything one could do to make money. Then the only way there was actually guy named Jamal Nasir, always thankful. He was also an Indian, right? He said to me, if you get distinction, you can get a paid thesis. So the whole focus was to get distinction in the exam. So we got the distinction in management of production, which was my master's, and I end up in Volvo Cars. The Volvo Cars was great experience. That was my first big corporate experience. So my thesis was in Six Sigma. They put me into black belt, Six Sigma black belt training. So my thesis. So we finished that. They gave me a lot of money, and that leads to a PhD scholarship in Lancaster University Management School. So I was a full-time scholar. I had two scholarships, not even one. Right? People, I think, can't even think of one scholarship these days. So I went home. I got a job at Toyota, and then my uncle said, "Mate, you're lucky enough to even get a scholarship." I didn't want to actually do a PhD, but the family member convinced me that you got a scholarship. So if you live in a scholarship, was like I think £1,300. And my uncle said, "You live for £500, and if you send the remaining money home, this is more money than actually you're ever going to make by working as an engineer." And I think he was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I started as a graduate, and the thesis was sorry, my research with the company called Eaton, right? So when I started working with them, Ethan said, I think you're wasting time, mate. I think you speak multiple languages, and they were outsourcing to India. They need somebody to speak Hindi. I'll help them out." And they said, "Come full time, we'll fund your PhD." So from 2008 until 2015, I did these three things. I worked as a full time supply chain guy. I started very low level, as a demand planner. I was then promoted to a first job as a manager, materials manager. I was like 30 when I had my own office, which was like ridiculous. And and then I almost did all the job hands on and supply chain manager, supply chain director, division supply chain manager. Uh, and fast forward 2015, I was a division supply chain manager for $500 million, $700 million business. I was traveling a lot to Romania, China, France, Germany. So that
Mhm.
exposure was immense. And I was lucky enough, they put me into some leadership management programs, not even one, two in those 7 years. So that gave
Right.
me a lot of exposure to corporate politics and leadership. Now, I'm going to skip all in between
Yeah.
because,
Just let me
yeah,
ask you a question. So, for the audience who are not really into supply chain business, how do you define supply chain? What it is in simple terms?
supply chain is easy to define. Anything basically from raw material to a manufacturer to a distributor to the customer. So I can see you're wearing a shirt. There is a stuff behind you. How it get to you? How it get to you? That's what we do. And how we do it by managing three flows. Right? We manage information flow, to manage the material flow, to manage the money flow. Right? So if I want to, for example, make the nice cup sitting at your desk, so a manufacturer would have made it and they would have bought a raw material, right? So anything goes to do make it happen. That's what we do. So if the things are late, is because of us. If things are on time, is because of us, right? So that's what we do, is to manage the information flow, to manage material flow, to manage the money flow. Goes with
Hmm.
it, and that's it. That's what
And
supply
that's
chain
not
is.
industry specific, right? It could be anything.
It's totally transferable. It could be anything tangible which is manufactured. Supply, you cannot do it without supply chain.
Understood.
Right. So,
Right.
so just to finish my education journey out, I said this to one people, that to get highly educated, right, or educated in general, you don't need money. So my example is a living, breathing example. College almost free, and engineering was free, masters free, PhD free. So if anybody could take anything from right now, should take that.
Yeah. Even in today's world where the information is so readily available online, you go on YouTube, there's a ton of free courses available. You go on MIT website, there's a ton of free courses available. So I think there shouldn't be any excuse for anybody that, hey, I cannot get this degree or diploma or anything because I don't have money. Like, money is not an excuse anymore.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So you of course, everybody who is graduated from a university, they have a desire to be in corporate world, right? They would like to get on the corporate ladder, be like in leadership position. That is some sort of a charm for everybody who is going through this university education and be at that stage in their career. You have done all of this. What actually forced you to leave that and start something very new?
So, a quick answer. This aspiration is a good aspiration. What do you explain? And I would recommend every graduate to do it,
Hmm.
right? Before I explain my aspiration, I explain the why I'm recommending to do it, right? At least 5 years. No matter how entrepreneurial you are and you think you can make money and whatever, still do it. It does two things to you. So whatever vertical you end up in, you really understand business, how the big businesses works, what are the functions, what are the roles, challenges, customer intimacy, etc. Right? Most importantly, you understand the industry problems, right? If you start your journey as straight away out to graduate and end up, and that's why if you think most of the graduates who did their startup, their fatality rate is above 97. The reason is not because they're not clever. The reason is they don't know the industry problem. They just assume somebody told them and then did some research and they think they know everything. Not really. So what I do right now at CM Dojo, it stems from the industry problem, which I explain you at the later point.
Hmm.
So I would highly recommend do that. Now, my inspiration. So everybody have their own challenges and reasons for doing it. What was mine? So when I finished my PhD, I just realized I had a lot of content. I was too lazy to write research papers. I wanted to share. So my aspiration was more giving back, share the knowledge. Because one thing I find out that even right now everybody knows supply chain is still not, but then go back 2015, the term was not even common. If you ask anybody what sales is or finance is or accounting, they can explain you something, right? Nobody can explain what is supply chain. You asked me the question. So I thought I'm gonna start with that. So I started with my name Mudassirism, right? And I did that for 2 years, and then I changed the blog when I moved to Dubai as a head of planning and logistics. I changed that in 2018 to SCM Dojo. So SCM Dojo is supply chain management, and the Dojo is a Japanese word which means place to stay and meditate. So the whole concept, but still the core value of what I do is to, what does dojo mean? Is to place to learn and meditate in a judo, karate, in the martial arts. So we are actually that place where supply chain folks can come in. We give them all the tools, knowledge, and expertise to become what they are. So inspiration was there, is to share knowledge. Second thing, as a supply chain person, I found three industry problems which I couldn't figure out. The first problem was when I was supply chain leader, most of the people end up in supply chain are not supply chain degree. So you did electrical degree, you're doing a job in a Cisco, which is a systems electrical systems company. You're doing a business development or whatever leadership role, but you are into the domain which you did the education. You're not working for pharma and making medicine. Just to compare that.
That's
But
right.
in supply chain, it's not the case, right? Because it's not an established body of knowledge, or it was not at least to most people in supply chain has not come from a supply chain background like I was, right? So if I say after managing 20 people, only two people are graduate, fresh. The rest old people come from finance or accounting. If you're good in maths and common sense, here you go, move to supply chain because you're just good in maths and common sense,
Hmm.
right? And people from shop floor manufacturing. But supply chain was more than that. You need to understand theory. You need to understand sourcing. You need to understand demand planning. You need to understand materials management. You need to understand inventory management. You need to understand warehouse management. You need to understand last mile. I can go on, right? Also, have to be good leader. You have to be good communicator, and so on and so forth. So when I say I want to train people, nobody gave me budget. But here you go, more 10,000. 10,000 you can buy peanuts for 20 people, right? And let me tell you, the industry leaders right now in supply education, let's call it Apex and SIPs, the average cost is three and a half, four, $5,000. That's the minimum range. So I couldn't train two people. So I found a problem where supply chain education to people is difficult. First problem. The second problem I realized, for example, I need to talk to an expert on support on topic in supply chain because I don't know everything. For example, let's call it trade management, not my expertise, and I want to export to Egypt from UK. How can I do it? I need to talk to somebody. It's hard to find expert, right? Okay. And the third problem we realized there was no community of supply chain, right? So and I would have not figured that out. That was the problem if I would have not worked in the industry.
That's
Right.
right.
So
Hmm.
worked in industry for 15, 17 years. Actually, at that point, when I started my blog in 2015, sorry, 16, I was already 11, 12 years in the job, right, in various different countries. So the problem was common worldwide, right? Then I say, how can I solve that problem? The only way that I can solve that problem is to create an e-learning was big thing before COVID anyway. It was not as big as it is right now, but
Yeah.
still it was a trending thing. And there was no e-learning platform for supply chain folks, right? So and okay, now here's the steps we talked about gonna come into the play. Actually, no, I'm gonna stop here because I think I answered your question of inspiration. So my
Yes.
inspiration was work in industry, find industry problem. The second part is a part B of the industry, right? Okay, if I find a problem, so what? I have a choice not to do anything about it. That was a
Mhm.
choice, right? But what? Okay, on my job, I'm not saying I'm super smart, but I'm not stupid, right? Okay. Either my previous companies has trained me to be leader. They have trained me to be a functionally competent leader. They have trained me to grow within the business, right? And whenever I go to leadership program, oh, you are destined to become of GM or functional VP of supply chain. Do this, do that. So a quick story in 2015, 16. Yeah, 2015, I was in Eaton, right? I was Eaton acquired a company, right? And it was a SME. And so the leadership of that plant was SME leadership. And they put me in as a Eaton guy because I worked for so long. Like you work for Cisco, you are a Cisco culture person, right? Okay. So I was an Eaton culture person. They put me in the plant. And in that plant, when as soon as come in, I find some shenanigans, right? I don't want to go to the detail because it's not fair, right? But it was things wasn't done correctly. Okay. I went into the leadership, I went to the ethics team, I've told them I found these things, they're not good. They said, okay, leave it with us, you done your job, whatever. So it took them 1 year to actually make an action. As a result, there was a leadership change in the plant. Again, I don't want to reveal more.
Mhm.
So the people involved was basically asked to move away. So they put me into a position of interim plant manager. I always wanted to be a plant manager, but the thing is, I was only 32 years old, 33, right? And the plant was in a pretty dire state, about 200 people. So I did not, so hey, except HR and finance, everybody reporting to me, and quality, manufacturing, distribution. And I took that plant into a very dire state, very poor KPIs to, in 12 months' time, to become the model plant across 200 plants. I win an award, accolades. Now they post a job. They post a job of plant manager after me doing for 1 year interim, and I did not get it.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So they train you for all these things, and then they actually post a job to hire or a professional, and then you applied for it and you
I
didn't get
applied
it.
for it. I didn't get it. Right.
Wow.
And
Okay.
given the fact I'm a Eton guy and I know I was very well networked up to, all the bosses as well, up to VB, up to the, business unit head, everybody knows me by
Mm.
name, it's no problem, right? Otherwise they won't let the plant run for me for, I think, 9 months and change around and give me awards and all that. So when I went to my interview and they told me, right, I they're not getting the job and they have to hire somebody from outside who's much more experienced, much older than me, more have a better credibility to run a plant of $70 million sales. There was two factories, not one plant but two factories, and they gave me a feedback, and the feedback was, you are rough around the edges, right, and you need to be politically savvy. So if I
Okay.
give you, yeah, if you give you that feedback, Yasin, that you're rough around the edges and you're not politically savvy, how are you going to receive that?
Well, I think it's basically all the corporate politics that is pushing me away from it, right? So if I'm not fitting into that model, then I'm an outsider, and I don't fit to perform that kind of a job. I think that's how I read it.
And you almost got it 90% right. The 10% were internal factors, which probably doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
right? And and then they put me, which I was pissed. I mean, you can guess, right? Then I actually gone down to my job as leading supply chain, right? Which I felt as like a demotion, right?
Hmm.
Okay, even though it was not, I was in the same grade, paid more money actually. It was before. I had much more job offers internally within the company as well, right? within the
Yeah.
company into different functions. But I was pissed, right? And then to carve me off, they put me into £10,000 leadership assessment with Kearney. The Kearney, the famous management consultant, right? So I've gone through leadership 360 because I was keep asking, explain me what does politically survey means, and what does explain me. If you're going to give me feedback, at least give me a tangible
Yeah.
feedback so I can work upon and
Which
then
is fair.
improve myself, right?
Yeah.
Don't give me this British fluff, right? And they have a problem with that attitude. Okay, because I was just called, I can call them straight away, because if I'm
Yeah.
giving a feedback to you, there's three-step process, right? I observe something which needs to be improved. I tell you the impact that something needs to be improved, and I work with you to solve that. You give me feedback, but you're not working with me. That to calm me down, they said, okay, here you go, fancy assessment with Kearney, who was the biggest £10,000, give me a favor. So when I went to when I went to the assessment, they did the 360, the feedback I'm on. I was sitting the coach, and coach said to me, they're going through the scores and everything. So one of the the vertical is drive for results. It's one of the five leadership pillars
Mm.
of within Eaton as well. And I was scored the highest ever anybody can see. So I was like 9.4 out of 10. The average is not even 6.5. And
Okay.
the coach said to me, that's an, oh, I said, oh, 9.5, great. He said, no, actually, that's a negative strength. I said, what do you mean that's a
What?
negative strength?
Okay.
He said that's an overused strength, because you are one of those people, if you put your heart and mind into something to achieve, you won't even care who you have to piss off. You're actually going to piss off and you're going to do it. And that perceived you as a person who is not politically savvy. And
Okay.
that it hit me actually.
Mm.
What actually happened? So my strength, which was my strength, which I believe is still my strength, was not actually a strength in a corporate world. So you can dissect it and you can feel sorry about me, and I was at that point feeling sorry about myself,
Yeah.
right? But on reflection, I realized actually either I have to compromise on a strength or find out a career path which I can
Mm.
use my strength.
So for the audience, let's break it down. So basically, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how hardworking you are. If you want to pursue a corporate career and go up to the chain, you have to find a balance. And the balance you have to find is you have to play around with those politically sound people in your corporate world, right?
Absolutely,
If you
absolutely.
go against them, or if you push back on their opinion, or I should say their narrative, then you're disliked and you will not get the permission to basically pursue your career in the corporate world. I think, did I get it right?
You get a bang on. Now
Mm.
you can think that as negatively, oh, corporate politics, toxic culture. But
Yeah.
my friend, I could have explained this synonym, which is very funny in Urdu better, but I tried to do it in English, right? So I had my first boss, and I did in ICI. It was his name is I think Azam, right? It's still connected on Facebook, and I was pissed with my first job. Therefore, I left to Sweden. And he told me one story. He said Razia was basically hijacked by some kidnappers,
Yeah.
and she has three choices: either fight, run away, or enjoy.
Yeah.
Right. So if you enjoy it, you enjoy it, because you're
Yeah.
kidnapped. You're not going anywhere, just enjoy the life anyway with kidnappers. Or
Yeah.
fight, which I did, and I thought, nah, I fight enough. I can't waste my time with those people. I'm a
Yeah.
too small cog in a too big puzzle. I can't change that. So now I have to make a choice: either get politically savvy, or not rough around the edges, or
Mm.
use my strength and make something out of it. So
Right.
that was a trigger at that point, which started my inspiration that I want to pursue entrepreneurship. So I'm going to pause here. Maybe you
Got it.
ask me following question, which will move the story forward.
Yeah, this is good. I think, and I totally relate to it. I know a lot of people who had the passion to, move up in the chain in terms of the corporate world, but when they go into this whole corporate politics, then it leaves them a very, bad taste in their mouth, that they just leave all of those, passions to the side, and then either they settle where they are at in the corporate world, or move on to something else. And I think this is also the same story with you as well, right? So you were so passionate about it, you wanted to move up, but because you were not I should say, you were not being treated well as per your skills and were forced upon those corporate politics, you decided to leave, right? And that gave you the light bulb moment to kind of start something else which you are passionate about, which is of course supply chain, right? Okay. And that was the moment of the SCM dojo, born,
Yeah, so
right?
now the
So
decision been made, right?
yeah,
So the decision been made. We are still in 2015, but you can't lose. I was very well paid person at that point.
yeah,
I have a company car. I have a new Audi. I have a young family. Right, I'm one of the highest paid people in the organization. I travel the world. I mean, one thing supply chain does, which is I'm very fortunate.
yeah,
You can got
travel,
to travel the world. Right, I'm fortunate enough to travel 41 plus countries, and most of them not by my own money. Other people pay
yeah.
for that. Right, so that I'm fortunate, and I'm always very thankful to God
Mhm.
for that. Now, but then the planning starts, right? Because one thing I'll always people underestimate me, and I think engineers, people underestimate engineers in general. They are very good logical thinker and strategic planner. Because engineer means you're technical, you are very much binary, 1 0, and you're a strategy. Because the strategy is basically what? Is a set of decisions in a certain direction. So once I decided I need to do entrepreneurship, then I can't just leave the job because I don't know how we're gonna make money for my family, right? We all stuck with that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So this is where I start my planning because, like, in college, I decided I want to become an engineer. After college, I want to go outside, and after that, I want to do PhD. Now, I have to do my next 5 year plan, which was entrepreneurship journey, right?
Mhm.
So I actually have a very short stint on let's call it a crowdfunding type of platform for creative services, and I built the product right while on the job. I got some small funding, and I failed miserably. The reason I failed miserably because I just thought if I make a product, the supplies and the customer will come like automatically. It
Mm.
doesn't actually happen.
That's a very common problem for all the engineers. They have the mindset of developing a technical product, but they have no idea how they can market it.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
that really was a very sharp, and that's before my blogging. Very sharp learning curve for me that you can make a fantastic product, but if you don't know how to find supply customers and how to monetize, you're gonna fail. But it was
yeah.
good. But also, I built that platform. So I spent like 7, 8 thousand pounds on building that product, and actually I sold it to a platform. I think its name is Flip something, right? At 4,000 3,800 pounds. So I didn't lose all my money. So it teaches me one thing though, that if you make something, you can always sell it.
Yeah.
I made a loss. I didn't no
And
regret on
and
the
what was
loss.
that product? Was it like a course? Was it a training
So I
program?
just realized that anything done on internet or creative, especially in like blogging or writing and all that, you could do it. But I did not do market research at that time. Fiverr was doing the same thing, right? So basically, I was trying to do Fiverr when Fiverr already raised money, but I did not do any market research.
Okay. So you did not know that Fiverr already exists
Exists.
and doing
Yeah,
the same thing.
exactly.
Okay.
In 2015. But 2015,
Right.
Fiverr was just a startup who they
Mm.
just about raised money at that point in time. They were not even a public company.
Okay.
And they are, and lot of people don't know who use Fiverr. They are Israel-based company. So I'm not going to say much. I don't want to get political here, right?
I
Just
know that.
a yeah,
Yeah.
just a hint here. I don't use Fiverr for that reason, right? Sorry for my views here. I apologize for that.
No worries.
For yeah. So anyway, but I learned a lot. Right? I learned a lot, right? Um, and then I thought I need to know a market. So I figured out I know a supply chain problem, which I explained, right? E-learning experts and all that. So I started doing blogging to build community. And in 2019, I started my YouTube channel. I'm still working. I'm still working
Mm.
for. Now I moved to Dubai. I'm still working for Bridgestone. And COVID happened. COVID probably the best thing happened to me. I don't know about people, but especially with supply
I've
chain.
heard this from so many different people who have taken this journey. They said COVID was their light bulb moment. So
Right.
yeah, I'm not
So
surprised.
now in 2018, in March, somebody from Estonia messaged me saying, and I was like 2 years in blogging, right? Oh, we like your content. We want you to come in Estonia and we want you to do the keynote on SNOP, Sales and Operations Planning, which is my area of
Okay.
expertise. I
Mhm.
said, I don't want to spend air freight. He said, no, no, no. We paying your air freight. We paying your hotel as well. Just come and do it and just do a training and we'll pay you $1,000. I said, that's not too bad. Paying the
Mm.
air ticket, going to a country which I don't know, right? Paying my and they're gonna pay me $1,000 for the training, which I can do with my
And
eyes
this,
closed.
and this is only after they read your blog, just blog, nothing else, no other content, just blog. and they like your content and they wanted you to
Absolutely.
be a keynote
Yeah.
speaker. They covered
Yeah.
your travel expense.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's really encouraging for anybody who is only writing a blog, that things can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just doing more of LinkedIn. I started focusing on LinkedIn because, again, our guru, Amma Siddiqui, told me, no, LinkedIn is a thing. Do it, do it. So same blog that I was just posting on LinkedIn. They did
Mm,
not have a newsletter at that time, right? It was just articles, right?
right.
Yeah, just copy pasting and from LinkedIn driving traffic to my blog. So my blog can get more organic ranking and things like that,
Got it.
right? And I remember, actually, I've been tracking my LinkedIn followers since 2015. Actually, now I've got 95. I started at 5, right? Everything, success comes overnight. Not really, man. It took me to 98 years to get there. I think only I have 15 or 20,000 followers at that point in time.
Mm.
Anyway, went there, did a good job. Then I met somebody from Ukraine, and she said, "Oh, in July we are doing a conference in Kiev, 2018. Would you come and do the same for us? And we have a bigger group of training, and we're gonna pay you more money." I was like, "Wow."
Wow.
So I went there, did the same thing. Kiev
Mm.
was beautiful, great place. I can't remember. This was my first experience in life. I have 175 people who do not understand English. My English is, I speak fast and I have an accent. I know that, right? And they were listening to me in translation, and not one person left. Biggest audience actually
Wow.
I've spoken at that point in time. And I was
You know
like,
what?
when I,
That itself is an achievement, I can tell you. I've seen so many presenters, natural English speaker presenter, but they just don't keep the crowd engaged.
no, I was good. Then I was in the panel, and when I finished the whole thing, I literally have people surrounded me asking me what we can do with you, and talk to us and all that. So, and at that, and if you are invited into any conference or networking, whatever, actually the people who you should network. Of course, you need network with the people in the audience, but actually you should network with the people who are an expert or speakers on that, because somehow you feel cagey about it, you don't do it. And literally what I did, there was a guy named Richard Bemo, and I just realized I want to, and he come up with this idea of steam powered. Basically, he said steam powered. He did a very good talk on a procurement topic, and I thought, mate, I want to capture what he said. So I have my phone with me, old iPhone. I said, I've got a tripod. Do you mind doing a quick video with me? I didn't even know what I'm going to do with that video. I thought it was a good
Mhm.
content, right?
Yeah.
And I interviewed him, and at the interview, what I did was that most people struggle because, again, supply chain procurement was still not established, and most of us were reporting to the people who are not supply chain people. So supply chain previously reporting to finance or procure or marketing function, and those people don't know supply chain, so they don't treat us well. So my topic of discussion was how to manage your boss who's not the procurement person, and then he explained. And I did that for 3 people. And I came back home and I launched a vlog, my first episode, and I call it The Supply Chain Show. That was my first episode of my
Mhm.
YouTube. So right now, my YouTube channel, I started in 2019 after coming from KF, January, I remember, right? And actually, I sat on this episode for 5 months before I actually published because I don't know what to do. But we started a YouTube channel January 2019. Now we have 45,000 followers, subscribers, sorry, and we are the second biggest in YouTube, right? We publish about less than 200 episodes or videos so far. And those friends are the people I met there. They're still in my network. They are actually an expert teaching on SCM Dojo, right? So the
Okay.
more of the story is this: that did the blogging, write a content with the intention of I want to help people. So when you want to help people based on the
Mhm.
industry problem, is after spending so much time, people gonna resonate from that content, and then they're gonna hopefully gonna ask you to come and deliver more of it to a different country. Okay, then because of that, my blog blew up. I suddenly started getting 40,000 SEO traffic. My YouTube channel started doing well. Then COVID happened. I think 2019, end of 2019, right?
2020 February. Yeah.
2020 February, and 19 was great for me for my content, word, video, and blog, and everything was going up, and I was just more passionate about it. I still didn't know how I'm gonna monetize it, but I just know I need to do something. So the only thing I was focused on: understand industry problem, find solution. Industry
Yeah.
problem, find solution. Industry problem, find solution. I don't know how to monetize this still. right? But I
Mm,
know if I continue to do that, I will figure it out in late
definitely.
2019, right?
Yeah, I could not agree more. So yeah, before I so is there any decline of traffic or rise of traffic during COVID, or you saw
Absolutely, it's
the
gone up,
same?
and because
Yeah,
when you're sitting at home,
yeah,
what do you do? What are you doing?
yeah,
Internet, watching videos, reading.
exactly. And a lot of people actually did that. So I know a lot of people who actually transition from their corporate journey is during COVID when they start consuming different content that gave me the light bulb moment and say, okay, maybe I should do this. And then they started their journey, right away, and now they are successful.
You said it. Same happened
Yeah.
with me. So in COVID, just before COVID, there's a guy named Robert. I don't want to tell his second name. In
Mhm.
Musk, he was senior VP of learning and development. He messaged me saying, "Good, I think I've got an opportunity for you. Love your content, mate, on LinkedIn. You're doing such a great job. You want to jump on the call?" I was like, I mean, who says no to him, right? And then COVID happened and I started working from home. We literally jumped as soon as we start working from home. We start. We start. I had a chat with him, and he
Mhm.
said Musk is going through a transition from a freight. You know Musk, right? Musk, the famous
Yes.
shipping company,
Yeah.
and they want to go from a freight company to an integrated logistics company. So for a simple user, what integrated logistics means, they just do boat. They just move the material from a port to port. What they
Mm.
want to do is to do everything. That means move the road freight from the factory to the port. They move the ship and then come to a customer again and deliver. So even they want to do the last mile. That means they want to deliver the product at your home. They want to
Mhm.
compete with Amazon. They call it sofa to factory supply chain. Okay, that's their ambition. They have a lot of money, but they said we got 88,000 people, but the only thing they know is shipping stuff. We need to teach them supply chain, and we need to teach them the way you are teaching, right? I said, what do you mean the way I'm teaching? He said, no, you're teaching very common sense language. So the real message is, if you are an expert in something, you've learned in the industry, do not overcomplicate. I know
Yes.
you know a lot. Make it simple enough and stupid enough that more people understand.
Absolutely. This is, I think, one of the key message that I also deliver on my LinkedIn as well. Don't use jargon. The more you use jargon, the more difficult it is for your audience to understand and follow. Use very simple English so that every single other person can relate to it and then understand it. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. And then he said, I've got a paid project. What I want you to do, we can't find people who can build curriculum for us. We have too
Mhm.
much content. Sign the NDA. Can you build a curriculum so we can teach more people our new strategy? I was like, really? I mean, you're hiring me because everybody's busy. He said, yeah, really, because we can't find and we need somebody to do it. He said,
Mhm.
will your company allow it? As I'm sitting at home, they never said can't do it. So this was the first type of money I made. But now, when the luck is with you, when they say, the more I try, the luckier I get. I believe in a lot of quotations, honestly, in my life, right? But this is one of the quotations I get. The more I
Mhm.
try, the luckier I get, right?
Mhm.
And I was trying more on LinkedIn and trying more on YouTube. So there's a guy named Aman. He contacted me by saying, love your content, blah blah. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I sold my company, twice. I live in Silicon Valley. I need to talk to you about supply chain. Okay, I jump on the call. The only thing dude was doing is to keep asking me supply chain problem. And by the fifth call, I was a bit frustrated. I was like, "You waste my 1 hour. I know I love talking to you. You're a clever guy." He was a partner at McKinsey at that point in time. He
Okay.
sold company twice, a marketing B2B company twice for 27 million and 28 million. So the dude was filthy rich, very connected. I want to get paid because that was my way of don't wasting time. Right? He said, "How much?" And I said, I'm gonna tell him something. I'm gonna tell him ridiculous." I said, £250 and dollar an hour. He said, "Yeah, it's okay." What? He said, "Okay, can
That's not ridiculous in the US, especially in Silicon Valley.
I
Yeah.
know maybe for me it was at that point."
Yeah.
And then I said, "Okay, minimum 20 hours in a month. Otherwise, I won't do it because I want to make good money out of this." He said, "Yeah, no problem, but you have to do more for me." I said, "Like what?" "You have to help me build product because supply chain, you have audience." All right, that's great,
Mm.
right? So a second revenue stream along with my job, right? It all happened. It would have not happened if I would not showing my expertise on social media,
Right.
right? Now, third,
And social media means LinkedIn specifically, right?
mainly LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
yeah, and if you want to become a LinkedIn champion, you need to follow Hamad Siddiqui hands down. The dude is guru, right?
I
That's
could
it.
not agree anymore. I could
He's
not
my
agree more.
coach. Yeah, he's the best person. to do so. We are not promoting Hamas Siddiqui because we love him, because we do. The guy is super genuine. And make sure you cut this clip and send it to him because I said it.
I will. I actually owed him a testimonial as well from my side. I was
I
trying
sent
to
him
get
my
along with that.
testimonial. He already
Yeah.
have it. I don't think he published.
Okay.
Right. Now the third one is I saw this opportunity on training on SNOP. So I went to Gumroad. So if the easiest way for anybody to monetize knowledge, use Gumroad. Right. There's many similar platforms. I started using Gumroad.
What is it? I never heard of it.
Gumroad. Gumroad. I'm gonna write it
One
here.
road. Okay.
Right. And it's basically the heaven. Actually, this is Hamas Siddiqui coached me, but this is my coaching. And if you ask Hamas Siddiqui, he will say I'm his coach. Right. And the what I coach him is how to make money from his knowledge. So if one of the things I have expertise is to how to make a knowledge into a digital product, which could be a guide or best practice or a video or a course or whatever. That's one of my expertise I developed, and
Hmm.
how to sell it. Right.
Right.
So you can package the information, but you have to sell it as well, right? Gumroad is the best way to do it because you put your course, you put your video, make a landing page, share on social media, share on newsletter, share it everywhere. People are
Hmm.
gonna click, they put the credit card, bingo, money's
Okay.
in the bank.
So basically, they're providing an interface to process the payment as soon as somebody
Everything.
consumes your
And
content, whether it's a
distribution.
PDF, course, or anything.
Any type of digital content. Any type of
Right.
digital content. Right. And
Okay.
the founder he has written a book called Minimalistic Entrepreneurship. So I would recommend everybody to read that.
Hmm.
Minimalist Entrepreneur, right? Just Google Minimalist Entrepreneur. His name is Sahil, very introvert guy. He does reply my email. He would not come on any podcast, but the dude is genius actually, right? So read about it. So it gave me an interface how to accept payment, and so I start doing virtual online trainings.
Hmm.
And actually, I recorded a course in SOP and I sold it about 20 units. I said, that's it. Now, with the three examples I gave you during COVID, I made money along with my job, consulting into one of the biggest companies in the world, giving my expertise to a startup who has money to spend, right? And third, selling my knowledge.
Hmm.
And that was a moment I said, now I got it. I know how to find my customers, I know the industry problem, and I know how to monetize.
So the third problem was basically creating a set of course and like compile this in a module and sell it to a that guy in Silicon Valley, right?
No, no, no. With him, I'm just sharing my industry knowledge because
Okay.
what he want to do with my industry knowledge is to develop a product which
Right.
can solve a supply. Because in COVID, there was only two things famous,
Hmm.
right? Which was there's no toilet paper and because of supply chain.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest thing for entrepreneurs? Especially a section, they are
Finding a problem.
looking.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he
Yeah.
heard about a problem, but
Mhm.
he's not a domain expert. So he
Mm.
needed somebody who's a domain expert to teach him the specific problem. So the
Right.
problem I have identified for him, and that could be a separate episode how I made money of him and how he screwed me. That could be a separate
Mm.
episode on your channel. But I don't
I'll
want to
take
waste
a
your
note.
time here. And so I help him make him build the product. I make him find his first customer. Based on that, he raised $20 million Series A, and then I didn't get any equity in all that, which was
Wow.
my naivety, which not his. He's a clever entrepreneur. So when you work with clever people, you expect some clever stuff.
Right.
I'm still in good relationship with him, but I didn't get anything because
Yeah.
his
There was
argument
nothing,
was,
nothing in
I'm
agreement, nothing in writing. So
exactly
that's why.
I'm paying
Yeah.
you. What you moaning about, right?
Okay.
So then I stopped doing the same mistake over and over again, right?
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
so if any startup guy comes in and say, "Help me out," I said, "Okay, without equity, I won't talk because I know
Right.
what you want, but I won't do it." And then they don't come back, which is easy. Now, but I made good money out of the guy. So while I'm working, I'm actually making 50% of my salary in literally 2021,
Wow. Okay.
right?
And I assume that your salary is in the high bracket already because you're working for a big corporation in Dubai as a head of
Head
supply
of planning
chain.
and logistics, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was paying good money, right? So the money that I made in 2020, 2021 was enough for me to and this move to the step two of transition. So step one is understand the industry problem,
Mm.
understand your strength, learn how to monitor. So that's step one. Learn the industry problem. Step two, using your understanding your industry problem, and learn if you can monetize it. Okay, and
Yeah.
honestly speaking, I say this, and I think if I die, I hope that would be my one of the
Your
quotes.
legacy.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
people should mention this quote, and which is following: if you cannot find a customer and sell that customer while you at your full-time job, I can assure you, you will never do it when you're desperate and being a full-time entrepreneur. I can guarantee that,
Hmm.
because once you're desperate, you won't be able to. You won't be able to sell it, right? Because you're desperate. So if you're really solving a problem, which is an industry problem, and which people are willing to pay, it doesn't really matter you're working full time or you're full time entrepreneur. It doesn't really matter, because you're essentially selling a solution to somebody looking for. So that is the biggest litmus test of entrepreneurship, a product market fit.
Mm. Yeah. Oftentimes, people end up doing the step one. They identify the problem, they provide a solution, but they don't know how to monetize it. And this is where I think majority of the entrepreneur failed, especially
Or
coming in from engineering side.
wannabe entrepreneurs fail,
Yeah.
right? The real
Yeah.
entrepreneur eventually find out,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So okay, one step further. Okay, I in my preparation, because being Canadians, we like to prepare, right? Because that's what being in NAD taught us, right?
Yeah.
Prepare, right? And I thought, even though my school was college free, NAD free, masters free, PhD free, I don't know entrepreneurship. I need to learn entrepreneurship, because there must be a theory which I don't know. There was
Mm.
no chat Gemini, Google was rubbish at that point in time. So I saw a course of 6 months of entrepreneurship program, right? Where they teach you all the steps and product market fit, problem identification, customer identification, how to launch, the typical. And I paid $2,200. So that was literally the first money I spent to learn.
Hmm.
While we mentioned that you don't need to learn, and right now, if you want to learn entrepreneurship, you can literally go to Y Combinator and sign up to their 6 months program, which is as good as at MIT. The Y Combinator program was not there at that point in time. So you have a
Right.
lot of material on entrepreneurship now than 2015. So don't miss that step. So the step one is, know the industry problem. Step two is finding a solution, and you should be able to learn to monetize.
Hmm.
But that still doesn't mean you should be able to job, because people like us who's in a senior position making good money, we have a certain lifestyle. Your kids go to school. Yeah, we are in the mid 30s to 40s, right? Mid 40s. A lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
And you have how are you going to skip? You still want to be entrepreneur, but how are
Oh,
you going to find $7,000 to $10,000 which you need to live a
yeah.
month?
Yeah.
Now, for that, it comes in the step three, a financial exit strategy.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you that, at what point, so anybody who is listening to it, I think it's very imperative for us to not to quit your job before you actually have something sustainable, right? So and it can take between, 6 months to 3 years for somebody to, develop something sustainable, right? So at what point you should think, okay, now this is at a stage where I can comfortably quit my job and then put my 100% into what
Yeah,
I've been doing it.
so we are into early 2021, still in COVID, right? I still made money in 2020, and I had enough money to basically fund the idea. Made up basically, Yasin Nizami is a supply chain knowledge and solutions platform. I have community. I made some money. I sold
Yeah.
some courses. I
So
hired
so
at
let's
this
let's
point.
just give more details about your platform to the audience. So Dojo is basically a marketplace where people can find training courses. So I'll let you
Okay,
explain
and
this.
well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
SM Duo is expert market supply chain knowledge and expert marketplace. I'm one of the
Mhm.
experts, but I don't know everything. So
Right.
we connect all the good people I met in conferences as a co-speakers. So procurement expert. Okay, you want to work with me and create courses? I fly her into the Dubai, recorded 9 courses. I met Paul, a Dutch guy, in one of the conferences, flying to Dubai, make 9 courses. I created 4 courses myself. So
Mhm.
basically, we have experts who we create knowledge content, right? And
Right.
basically, we sell it as a subscription, or believe me or not,
Mhm.
only $712 per person per annum. So we have the biggest library right now
Mhm.
of supply chain courses to teach anybody at supply chain, 712. Compare
Mhm.
that with the average price of $3,500, and we have
Okay.
a better content.
So for the audience to understand, are these or similar courses not available on LinkedIn? training
No, no. I mean,
or
LinkedIn does
Udemy
it. LinkedIn
or
does it. LinkedIn have supply chain courses, right?
yeah.
But they are pretty much Mickey Mouse, right?
Okay.
They're very
So
basic.
all of those learning platform that we have, Udemy and Coursera and LinkedIn Learning, or other platform, they don't have the level
They
or
have
depth
it.
of yeah,
I'm not going to say they
yeah,
don't have it. They absolutely have it, right?
yeah,
But the differential is following. Courses is one thing, the
yeah.
knowledge. But what we have is the second pillar, which we call it best
Finding an
practices.
expert. Yeah.
No, that's third actually.
Okay.
The second thing
I'm
we
jumping ahead.
have developed because the thing is supply chains are transferable skills. So how you manage
Yeah.
inventory, how you manage your KPIs, how you do warehouse assessment. It doesn't matter you're in pharma or automotive or oil
Hmm.
and gas. It's same. So we have developed a set of best practices which people can just download and use it. So
Right.
basically, cutting the research time, which they pay thousands of dollars to a
And I
consultant,
was yeah.
into peanuts. Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So what we're doing is a practical knowledge, hands-on, and the tools,
Hmm.
and the courses, and the certification. And the third pillar is access to expert. So the
Right.
my concept of being the inspiration to become a Fiverr comes handy because what Fiverr would have done with the creative people, I would have done the same thing in supply chain. So
Hmm.
the same concept of service as a product. So all my experts are now packaging their knowledge into services. Let me give you one quick example. So we talk about carbon emissions calculation, which is very much in Canada or in Europe, right,
Yeah.
is mandatory right now. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know how to do carbon emission calculation. So I have an
Hmm.
expert who's Icelandic. He packages his services, sell it for $500. So if you're a company, if you want to know how to do carbon emission calculation, because mandatory from
Hmm.
2025, you hire him for 500. He does it in 3 days, right?
Right.
So this is what we're doing.
This is the value. Yeah.
This is the
Okay.
value. So you can find the expert, you can find the best practices, you can find. So we are very much. So if you say differentiation from LinkedIn, Coursera, Udemy, or any other is this.
Hmm. Okay. So I thought we will be done in 30 minutes, but this is going over 15 minutes already.
Okay,
So I
let's finish
love
it.
this content. I love this
Let's.
conversation. So now after putting, I think, and since how long you've been running this SCM dojo?
Yeah,
3 years?
so technically as a blog from
Yeah.
2018 until 2021 September,
Okay.
right? And from January 2022 until now full time. So I'm gonna make
Okay.
this story quick because I'm also needs to go because I told you my son is playing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did my financial planning. I reduced my liability to the minimum. So I
Hmm.
paid my mortgage. I paid everything I to owe anybody. The only thing I have to worry about is my kid's school fee and the place I live, and that's about it,
Hmm.
right? Okay, that's the only thing I need to worry about. So reduce my liabilities. So if I know, so reduce my monthly run rate, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
right? And I saved enough money because of the extra money I was making. And I said to my wife and my mother, the two people I respect most, just give me 1 year to do
Hmm.
this full time. If I fail, I'll go to corporate world.
Hmm.
So I got all the
Yeah.
support, right? I got all the support from my family, and so at this point, see, so I've reduced my stress. And you were right. It takes 6 months to 3 years to find the foothold.
Yeah.
Your knowledge, mashallah, is very good, and your sense. So I gave myself 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So the fourth step here is this one. Do your financial planning. Don't stress out. So you have to assume in the first 12 months you're going to make zero money. You have to assume that. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
your family don't get stressed. You don't get stressed out on I don't know where I'm going to live. I'm gonna pay
Hmm.
how my school fees for my kids, how I'm going to eat. The lifestyle should not get affected. You reduce your liabilities, but lifestyle should not get affected. Maybe you
Which is
skip a
the
holiday.
key. Which is the key. And I can tell you that I've been thinking about doing something similar for last, I should say, 5 6 years, who knows. And the reason why I could not take a step is because the liabilities that I had, a mortgage of like $4,000 a month. Somehow I have to pay for this, fixed cost anyway. Then of course, your living expenses, your cars and everything, you're sending money back home and all that stuff. Then I realized, okay, I have to do something to reduce this. Like my biggest expense of my life is this mortgage. I took this step last year. I sold my place in Milton, GTA. I moved a little bit outside of the GTA, an hour drive away from it. It's cheaper, from that perspective. I almost paid 80% on mortgage that way.
Well done, mate.
That way, I don't have this huge burden on my head that I have to pay 4,000 a month every month for the next 30 years. Now I can free myself up. I can think about it. Okay, what I should do next in order to kind of generate some parallel income. So
More
I
power to you, mate.
absolutely relate to it.
More power to you. More power to you. More success to you as well.
Yeah.
I pray for your success. Definitely. Very
Thanks.
inspiration, right? So, Habibi, where I was, yes. So
Yeah.
with that faith, so you can say faith. I had a faith on my idea on the okay. On the other hand, what I'm planning, I already hired an engineer in Pakistan. Already had a videographer. So while I'm
Mhm.
full time, I'm already preparing. I'm not saying I'm going to leave a job and build a platform because I have a
Yeah.
clarity what I want to build. So while on all 2021, I built the platform, right? So a blog become a platform within 9 months. So
Mm.
and both of them was on the full time salary,
Nice.
right? A content again. So while you're on the job, right? Start building. That's a step five. Start
Yeah.
building whatever you want to build. Find
Yeah.
a customer, sell it, right? So you know how I'm going to grow. So that happens. I at that point with good luck, my Bridgestone says, yeah, you've done a great job in Dubai. I think I did some digitalization project for Bridgestone, which is again helped me from become more because right now I can build any software using MVP and agile methodology. I just don't know coding, right?
Mm.
And I don't need to coding because I just either ask a developer or now I can use
Developer.
ChatGPT or
Yeah.
Gemini, right? So
Yeah.
that was a great skill I learned while in the corporate. Again, thanks to the corporate life.
Yeah.
So the Bridgestone guy said, you know what, you've done a great job. We're gonna send you as a director of digitalization to Belgium. My son plays cricket, as you know. We love living in Dubai at that point in time. And I said to them, thank you, but nah, I don't want to go. Actually, I'm just thinking to start my own thing.
Yeah.
And none of them was shocked actually. Right? He said,
Mm.
"No, we see it coming. I think you got in, this whole Kida, as we call it, of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think we wish you well, and they treated me very well. I'm so thankful for Bridgestone. The reason I'm thankful for Bridgestone is because they let me do what I wanted to do: blogging, traveling. My boss was supportive. He knew that, so I don't take that for granted. I thank you, Bridgestone people, very much at the same
Mm.
time, right? And my boss Richard as well. He was supportive. I mean, he used to bitch about me a lot because, but in a funny way. But in hindsight, he was supportive, right? So
Yeah.
we have a good relationship with him. Still, we met him a few days ago. So now I started my whole thing, right? Now the thing is, if you don't have money, I'm almost self-funding. So I've got three
Mm.
people,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I run it for 18 months, and I realize if I don't raise funds, I can't really grow.
Right.
So now I'm coming to how I sold, more than about 75% of my company, and which valued around $880,000, right? And you
So
would
tell us
think,
about the valuation first. How did you
yeah.
get the
So
valuation
what
done?
happened? Again, thanks to LinkedIn. So all my leads come from LinkedIn, and my
Yeah.
buyer comes from LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
literally in January 4th, after on January 29th, one guy, a German guy, contacted me named Mark saying, "Oh, I saw your profile. You're a great expert. Love your knowledge. We want to create courses with you." I was like, "Didn't you check my profile?" I sent him a message saying, "I'm doing this for the last 2 years. I think we should talk." I went to see him in his very nice office in front of Burj Khalifa, very expensive place. Even the parking there is 75 dirhams per hour, right? And then he said to me, what I want to do is to create on the biggest academy of online courses and where an expert can hire, and then you can give them for 2 to 3 days. As soon as he finished, I just opened my phone and whatever he
Mm.
was saying, I just showed it to him. Like literally, I just showed it to him. And I said to him, we got two choices. Either you can fund us, we want to raise money, or he didn't let me finish off. He said,
Yeah.
do you have a deck? Right. And there's a big time process. So I have a deck, I have a maths calculation, I showed it to him. And
Yeah.
then he come up with a ridiculous offer of the money I was asking, which is $500,000 plus the 75%. And that's was
Mm.
his offer. I said to him,
Wow.
right. Now there was three factors to that decision. The first factor was I need the money because without money we can't grow, and I
Yeah.
believe on this idea. So here's the thing: people get hang up so much on equity, right? And they don't. Even though people offer the money, they say, "Oh, we can't give you more than 20%." But my friends, 30% of zero is zero,
Yeah.
right? Right. If your valuation on your top line sales is not even, it's very simple in tech startup, right? Top
Yeah.
line sales is five if you are just making money. If you have a great idea, 10x.
Yeah.
That's your valuation. It's very simple,
Mm.
right? Is anything between top line sales time 3x to 10x,
Right.
right? So don't think you and people are so. stupid. Even some startup guys come and talk to me and they say, "Oh, I'm happy to offer you 1% at the valuation of 10 million." Mate, you haven't sold shit.
Mm.
You have not sold shit. You
Yeah,
sale is zero. Why you
yeah,
think my time you're offering me is 1% of shit? No.
yeah. That's a pandemic, I should say sugar rush that people still have it.
Right. So so
Yeah.
so so I knew if I just be alone with my four of my guys in Pakistan, I'm not going to
Mm.
grow international. There's a privileges available. Again, remember my Razia story, right? You enjoy it or you run away. But this
Yeah,
time my choice is to enjoy it because
yeah,
I don't want to run away.
yeah.
Right? And I said, if I work with the European guys, they will open doors for me. I'm a supply chain expert, they're a procurement expert. And
Mm.
so the investor actually, he's already a very successful, he made a consulting company in Germany and he sold it for 27 million. So he knows how to make companies and sell it. So his experience, I need that experience. I
Yeah,
need money. I need his experience. I need him to open doors
yeah.
for me. So I
So
could
you
have
give
raised.
them, 75% stake in your
I
company,
give them
right?
some respect.
Yeah.
So because of that, because
Mhm.
again, if if 30% of zero is zero, right? Similarly, 25% of 5 million is a lot more than I can ever imagine. If you understand
Absolutely.
where I'm going with that.
Yeah. It's about scaling, right?
It's
How
about
can you
scaling.
scale your business?
Scaling,
Yeah.
right? Recently, Jeff Bezos is actually the second richest person in the world, right? Do you know how much equity he owns on Amazon?
I didn't check it last time.
9.2%.
Oh, really? Wow. That is a shocker. I thought, he must have like 30 or 40%
No,
equity.
and this is
Right.
because Amazon worth trillions,
Yeah,
right? So that's why his 9.2 is in
of
230
course.
billion.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's the science. Again, that's the lesson I would say to people: don't
Mm.
hang up on your equity. You need money to grow. Take the money to grow. And since I've taken the money, mate, it's a role. I don't have a time to sleep. I sleep 5 hours because we have to hire people. We're spending money on advertisement. People have already seen traction. A lot of people want to do business with us. Now I don't have to even beg an expert to come and to create courses. Yeah, what's your offer? You want to make share with us revenue? Want to take money? Do it. I've got the
Mm.
money. I can do both.
Hmm.
Next week I'm recording. Next 2 weeks I'm recording 15 courses from three experts. Right?
Wow.
And we will become the biggest supply chain platform. I'm 100% sure on that. Right? It would
Yeah.
have not happened if I would have not taken money from Mark.
Yeah.
Right? So
Now
it's
that gives
all
you
about.
the scalability, right? You can scale very quickly over time.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the vision is to grow to $2 to $3 million top line sales in 3 years' time. You can do the valuation after that was based on what I told you.
Yeah.
Keep it, exit, who knows, right? But right now is to get there. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying that journey, and I think it's 1 hour is a good time to finish. I need to go.
It is. It is. But that's it. Thanks very much. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, but this content is going to be very helpful for a lot of those people who are still trying to be entrepreneur but still stuck in the 9 to 5 job. But I think this will be a good motivation pill for all of us. So thank you very much.
Yasin, mate, it's been a pleasure meeting you. You're doing such a good job. I think what you're doing is also inspiring, and yeah, may Allah give you more success. Thank you very much.